Israel doesn't need the U.S. help because God's on their side. But we give them money because it says if we bless Israel, God will bless us. If we don't, God will curse us.
All Zionists know how to do is lie. And I can't help but wonder if Zionist is maybe just meant to be a polite public word for Jew.
Shall the United States federal government and subordinate divisions stop giving military funding to Israel, which currently costs taxpayers $3.8 billion a year, given Israel's global recognition as an apartheid regime with a track record of human rights violations?
I think this is foolish that we have to put that on the ballot. The United States has given Iran more aid than Ukraine and Israel. And we shouldn't turn our backs on Israel. Biden has stuck a knife in their back and twisted it. And they don't think Israel is smart enough to run their own war. But they know how to fight, and they know what they're doing, that they don't need our help. Israel doesn't occupy the land, they own it. And this probably wouldn't have happened if Biden would have sent in the Navy SEAL October 7th. Israel doesn't want to kill the people if they don't have to, but war is hell. And they're going to do what they need to do. And Biden, they want Israel destroyed, but as long as you back Israel, America will back Israel, we'll be in good. But if we cut off all ties to Israel, it's going to get dark in America. Things aren't going to be good. For the Christian who loves Israel, it will, but other than that, it's not going to be good. So I vote no.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Meryl Brown. I'm a business owner, parent in McLean County, and a Jewish resident in Bloomington. I have come to voice my dissatisfaction and vote against this question, even the idea of placing it. I come to you with information and truth, negating many of the ideas of the citizens who have brought you this petition. The piece of land that Israel sits on was a sovereign Jewish state over 3,000 years ago, referenced in the Old Testament, New Testament, and the Quran, and corroborated by carbon-dated archaeological findings and non-religious writings of that era. Thank you, history, and no Tishby. Since the date of Israel, the state birth, granted by the UN in 1947, it has been a place that guarantees equal rights of all of its citizens. It is home to 9.9 million people, 20% Arab Muslim. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East and has been the scapegoat of everyone's problems since before it was established. The problem isn't Israel. The ideas behind this question being placed on the ballot have been nothing short of following propaganda that has been perpetuated in the media and within our community since and even before October 7th. The money the U.S. government gives to Israel supports the military and the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome, a complete defense system to protect all of the inhabitants of Israel, regardless of beliefs. The Israeli Defense Force is exactly that. It defends its citizens. On October 7th, Hamas, a recognized terrorist organization funded and run through the Islamic Jihad, who also holds hands with Hezbollah, infiltrated, murdered, burned, and kidnapped innocent citizens. Any country has a right to defend itself and bring their people home. In this conflict, Israel has done a multitude of things to limit civilian casualties, and as a result, the combatant-to-citizen ratio is 1-to-1, the lowest of any war in this region. By adding this question to the ballot, it tells your Jewish citizens, us, that we don't have a right to a homeland, and we are no longer supported by this government. I am pro-Israel and pro-Palestine. Both should and can exist. The question on this ballot does nothing to bring peace to the Middle East and only perpetuates the Islamic Jihad plans of clearing out Israel and the United States' complicity in it. Thank you. I vote against.
So my name is Matt Sanders, longtime Bloomington resident. I've heard the question asked from a few people now who are proponents who would say, why don't we just let this on the ballot? Why not let democracy run its course and see what people think? And of course, we could ask that about any number of issues that might be on the ballot. There's an almost infinite number of issues that we might put before the voters to try to get their thoughts on any number of things. Part of why I'm against putting this issue on the ballot is any issue we do put on the ballot reflects something about our community. And this ballot is based upon a false premise. As I read it last night when I first heard about it, it refers to Israel as a globally recognized apartheid regime. And I don't think it's globally recognized as an apartheid regime because it's not at all, factually, an apartheid regime. As many of you probably know, apartheid is an Afrikaans word. That's the Dutch in South Africa created a formal system of racial separation. And if anyone here can tell me another country in the Middle East that has more pluralism and diversity than Israel does, I'd love to hear it. If anybody here can tell me of another country in the Middle East without any human rights violations, I would love to hear it. And so you might wonder why a particular country is being singled out. Yes, I recognize there's a lot of violence, but we wouldn't be here this evening if it weren't for an attack, a vicious attack on October 7th with enormous intentional civilian casualties. Last thought, I heard somebody over my shoulder, if you wondered what some of this might be about, just a few moments ago after a previous speaker say,
That's hearsay.
That's a bold educated statement.
Right, I'll recognize someone now.
It would have been okay to put this on the ballot if you had included all the wars that this United States are in, including Ukraine, Iran, and all the other places that the military is in. We should bring these people back home and support our vets and homeless people in this country versus all of these other wars. You put Israel specifically on here, which makes it an issue. Thank you.
I'll recognize someone.
My name is Joe Walden, resident of Bloomington. I have tried to kind of cut through this a little bit because some other people obviously were looking over my shoulder as I wrote this. Let's take a quick trip through history. The area of Palestine is an area. It's not a state. It's not a people. It is a state that was actually settled by Abraham and the 12 tribes of Israel in 10 BC. Its capital is Jerusalem. It has faced persecution ever since the day that Abraham and the tribes settled there. Their homeland has been taken from them many times and occupied by many countries and has been in a constant state of defensive war since their founding. Fast forward, Holocaust. 6 million Jews killed. It was recognized that there was a need to actually have a stated homeland for the people of Israel. 1947, the UN proposed a two-state solution, separate Jewish and Arab state. Jews accepted, the Arabs rejected. On May 14, 1948, the state of Israel was established. On May the 15th, and that was recognized by countries such as the United States, Soviet Union, European Union, and others. On May the 15th, 24 hours later, the Arab nations declared war on Israel. So since that date in modern history, Israel has been on the defense. Fast forward. Hamas was founded in 1987 and immediately began attacking Israel. They have been designated a terrorist organization. They have rejected Israel's right to exist. And as a side note, they also chant and believe in death to America. And as I look at every one of you around here, yes, they will kill you and your children. They approve of violence against civilians. Ever since 1987, backed by money from Iran and other countries, they have been bombing and sending rockets into Israel. As I might add, killing Israelis. Up until October 6th, well, let me back up just a second. This one lady said there are Arabs who reside in Israel, 20% of that population. They have the right to vote, and they are members of the Knesset, voting members. On October 6th, there was peaceful coexistence. On October 7th, Hamas broke that by an unprovoked attack. Now let's talk about numbers killed, and let's talk about this. On that day, and that day alone, 3,000 rockets, 3,000 terrorists attacked Israel. They killed 1,139 people, 695 Israeli citizens, 71 foreigners, and 373 IDF soldiers. They have taken, or took, 250 hostages. I think over 110 are still there, many of them Americans. So recognize that. Now, let's talk about genocide. It has been stated, and in the news, and Hamas has not said no, that their mission was a genocidal massacre. Yes.
Your 3 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you.
I'll recognize anyone.
I've made a couple of visits to Israel. Once about 1975, another one about 2000. When I went to Israel, first time as a tourist, second time as working on an archaeology dig in the West Bank. What I found there was that people in the West Bank like to work. And at that time, Israel was allowing people in the West Bank to be able to have jobs, come into Israel and work for the day, and then go back out through security checkpoints and go home again. And the Arabs were the leaders in the Gaza Strip, have received a lot of money. They put it into building tunnels. They didn't put it into helping the people of Gaza. I've just found, I've been around, I listened to news reports on the 67 war, the 73 war, all the times that Israel's been attacked by Arab-supported units from Lebanon, Hezbollah. Remember the time when 300 Marines got killed in Beirut? There's been many deaths in America because of violence over there. And I'm opposed to this because I think it's on the false premise that Israel is an apartheid state. Thank you. Sorry, no applause. Remember, no applause.
I'll recognize someone in favor of the resolution. I'll recognize someone in opposition to the resolution. Anyone else in opposition? Come on up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
6.
Come on up, man.
I have a very short sentence. Send the hostages home and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
You have someone?
I find the wording of the resolution is offensive because it is aimed at one people, and that's Israel. As far as genocide, the definition of genocide is the complete and total destruction of an ethnic or racial group. That's what is aimed at the Jews. You look at Hamas, their stated goal is not only to destroy the nation, but to kill the Jews. As far as what Israel is doing, they're defending their nation, they're defending their lives. If Hamas did not embed its military in the civilian population, I'm pretty sure the civilian death toll would be a lot lower than what it is now. As far as Israel, Jews being considered colonizers, never mind religious texts, just look at recorded history back to the Romans and the Greeks. Palestine was the home of the Hebrews. It was the Jewish land. Throughout history, the Jews have been forced out of Palestine, out of Israel, out of their ancestral territory by one group after another. If that happened to any other ethnic or racial group, we call it ethnic cleansing. But we don't say that when it applies to the Jews or the Israelis, however you want to say it. Yes, I said. Good. I think that what Israel is doing, they're showing as much restraint as they can, given the circumstances. And as far as if you really want to have an impact on this issue or any issue, vote in the general elections, research the candidates that are running, how they stand on the issues, vote for representatives, senators, people who really can have an effect on whatever issue that you're concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm seeing a dwindling number.
Right, and so we had 28 yes votes and 88 no votes.
The next item on the agenda is item number 5, which we'll call in a moment. Before that, I want to thank all of you for coming out here tonight, and I want to commend all of you for the orderly discussion that you conducted. Thank you very much.